Hey everyone, I'm Eric Bourassa, and today I'm going to show you how to play Minority by Green Day. Here's how it goes. We're going to start with a finger picking part in the beginning. I'm going to use hybrid picking. Okay, so for that intro, you can ditch the pick entirely and just play with your fingers. We're going to start with a C chord. And I would go thumb, index, thumb, middle. So thumb on string 5, index on string 3, thumb on string 4, middle on string 2. Then we go to a G, but you don't even have to hold the entire G chord. You could just hold a G5 like this, which is just finger 2 on string 6 and just finger 3 on string 2. And I'm going to go same pattern, thumb on string 6, index on string 3, thumb on string 4, middle on string 2. Then when we go to F major 7, I'm going to go thumb on string 4, index on string 4, thumb on string 4, index on string 2, thumb on string 3, and middle on string 1. So far we've got this. Then we go back to our C chord, but we're going to start with our thumb plucking the 4th string open, hammer on, and I'm going to go thumb, hammer, thumb on string 3, index on string 2. And then you do that again. Back to G, and then F, we're going to just pluck strings 4 and 3 together with the thumb and index, down to 2 and 0, and then open, and then to C. Dun, dun. And then we'll hit strings 5 and 4 together at the end. So here's that whole thing slow. Full speed. I like to do this with hybrid picking, so I'm going to use, instead of my thumb, I'm going to use the pick, and then instead of my index finger, I'll use my middle, and instead of my middle finger, I'll use my ring. Actually, just kidding. I do pick and middle finger only, so pick, middle, pick, middle, pick, middle, pick, middle, pick, middle, pick, middle, pick, hammer, pick, middle, pick, hammer, pick, middle, pick, middle, pick, middle, and then pick and middle together. So here's that full speed. All right, then we kick on some gain and we get this. This is the chorus. It's just C5. And we're going to go down, up, and then to F5, G5, back to F5. And then you can add an extra transition strum in between if you want. So I'm adding an up in between just to kind of fill that space. And I'm lifting my fingers. Down, up, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So you can do that either way. Then when we get into the verse, we're going to go back to our clean sound, and you can really just kind of strum C, G, and F chords. For F, you might choose to do that full F bar chord, but you could also do this version of F. I like to do this version of F, where I go block on string 6, and then 3rd fret, 2nd, 1st, 1st. Let me go all the way clean. The order of those chords will go C, G, F, C. And we're just going down, down, up for each chord. Down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up. That's the order of the chords for the verse. What I do is on the down, down, up. On that up, I'm actually lifting my fingers and transitioning to the next chord. Down, down, lift, down, down, lift, down, down, lift, down, down, lift. Well, unless I'm staying on C, then I'll just stay there. But if you try to do an up on the chord and then immediately switch to the next chord, you really don't have time. So give yourself that space to strum open. When guitar players change quickly between chords, there's frequently an open strum on the final up. So down. And you don't notice it that you're hitting open strings, and it keeps the flow of the song going. So that's the verse. Then we're back to the chorus, which we played earlier. Then we get into the bridge. All right, so we get an A power chord. Down, up, down, up, down, down. What am I doing? Down, up, down, up, down, up, down. That's what we're doing. Then to an E5 power chord. Then on the F, you could just do a power chord, but really it's an F bar chord. Block, 8, 10, 10, 10, block. Bend your ring finger backwards like a banana for that. Down, up, up. And then on C power chord, down, up, up. And then we go back to the A, to E5, F, C5. I'm going to use this C5 here instead of C5 at the 8th fret, root 6, because it's just easier to get to from there. And then the next time, same as the first. F, G, and then we're going to stay on G here. And then a B5, which leads us back into our next verse. On the G, let's talk about that real quick. Okay, we're going to go down, up, down, up, down. And I'm going to mute those strings by releasing the pressure of the chord and kind of flattening my fingers like this. So down, up, down, up, down, up. Down, up, down, up, down, up, up. Okay, so I'm going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Kind of weird. You don't necessarily have to do it that way, but that's how we line it up with the timing of the downbeats and the upbeats. So down, down, up, down. And that's with the muted. Down, up, and then mute, down, up, down. And then back to the G5, up, mute, down, up, down. And then G, 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 B. Okay, so here's that whole bridge one more time, full speed. Okay, then we're back to another verse, another chorus, another bridge, another verse, and then a final chorus that has this lead on top of it. So all I'm playing there, and there's a few different ways you could play that, but just to keep it simple, I'm going open E on the first string, and then F first fret, G third fret, and then up to 8, all on the first string. Then back to the third fret, first, open, and then I'm hitting C at the first fret on the second string. Then the next time, we start the same way, E, F, G, C, G, C. So that's going to go 8 on the second string, back to 8 on the first string, 8 on the second string. Okay, one more time, that whole lead for that final chorus. And then we have a final outro, which is the same as the intro. That's Minority by Green Day. Hey, check the links in the descriptions for guitar lessons with me and courses and other stuff.